Here's the shocking truth. Every single scene in Twin Peaks is playing out across two battlefields at once: the small town surface and an invisible world of symbols, myths, and forces older than history. That's not an exaggeration. From the very architecture of the town to the colors on people's clothes, nothing is random. In this video, I'll show you 13 hidden meanings you've probably missed, each one like pulling back a curtain. The quirky soap opera turns into something terrifying, and suddenly you see the real story you weren't supposed to catch. Number 1. The grand duality. The secret of Twin Peaks is written into its very name. Two mountains, two forces, locked in eternal opposition. Whitetail Mountain and Blue Pine rise on opposite sides like guardians, but they don't guard the same thing. One stands in daylight, tied to purity and clarity. The other sinks into shadow, its presence marked by hidden groves and unsettling silence. They're not just scenery. Think of them as ceremonial poles, rooting the entire town into an unseen ritual. Whitetail Falls offers cleansing water, almost a baptism. Now place it against Glastonbury Grove near Blue Pine, a dark entry ringed by sycamores where the curtain tears through reality. Once you see this, Twin Peaks stops being a backdrop. It becomes a chessboard. Every struggle, every duel between light and dark echoes this twin structure. And that duality isn't just visual, it's philosophical. Quick pause before we dive into the next hidden meaning. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We've got even deeper Twin Peaks theories. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Number 2, the Taoist undercurrent. What if every quirky dialogue in Twin Peaks is secretly teaching you Taoism? The show hides a strange rhythm in its conversations where weird pauses and circular logic start to feel less random and more like lessons in balance. Harmony, flow, and polarity aren't just themes, they shape how reality itself works in this world. Think about Dr. Jacoby's glasses, one red and one blue. They're goofy at first glance, but they echo yin and yang, opposites creating a whole. The same idea runs through rivers and waterfalls, reminders of energy in motion. Even the two mountains you've already seen act as the permanent opposition, pulling at each other like day and night. Suddenly the odd lines, the quirks, the careful symbols make sense. Twin Peaks moves with Taoist rules, where conflict isn't chaos, it's imbalance, seeking return to harmony. Number 3, when dreams invade reality. In Twin Peaks, dreams aren't imagination, they're another dimension kicking in your door. Agent Cooper's first trip to the Red Room doesn't play like a metaphor you analyze later. It lands as a direct signal, a conversation happening in real time with forces outside the waking world. That's where the confusion begins. Why are characters' dreams full of clues, coded warnings, even glimpses of things that haven't happened yet? The logic of the show treats dream life as equal to waking life, and sometimes even more accurate. By treating dreams this way, the barrier between the conscious world and the unconscious gets erased. Dreams become the battlefield. What looks surreal, the backward speech, the strange gestures, the impossible spaces, turns out to be the most true layer of Twin Peaks. So when the dream intrudes, it isn't avoidance, it's the story at its rawest. Number 4, the occult architecture. The town of Twin Peaks is built like a spell, and you weren't supposed to notice. Its layout operates less like a random map and more like an intentional design, with roads, lodges, and caves positioned like parts of a ritual. Once you look closer, the geography feels like an alchemical chart disguised as a logging town. Take Hawk's map. It isn't decorative, it's alive, pointing to places like Owl Cave and Glastonbury Grove, as if they form coordinates in a living system. These aren't just spooky sites. They interlock like markers on a sacred diagram. Bridges show up as crossings, glyphs sit carved into stone, moon symbols appear as cycles locking the rhythm of the land itself. That's the reveal. Twin Peaks functions as a ritual diagram shaping energy. And if the land is encoded, what about the objects within it? Number 5, the uncanny valley of objects. Why do random objects in Twin Peaks feel more alive than some characters? The town isn't only inhabited by people, it's haunted by the strange energy running through things. Cooper's tape recorder seems ordinary, but it listens and speaks back as if charged with thought. Even Waldo the bird acts as a messenger, repeating lines that carry weight far beyond its tiny body.
Flora? Flora? Don't go there. Hurting me. Hurting me.
This creates a pattern you can't ignore. Objects actively nudge the story at crucial points. Curtains in the lodge ripple like breathing walls. The log lady treats a piece of wood as if it holds memory, and in a sense it does. Then in the return, that massive glass box sits like a trap, swallowing attention until it cracks open into violence. Soon you realize objects aren't props, they're vessels, conduits animated by invisible hands, and beneath those surfaces, a growing rot. Number 6, the rot beneath the cherry pie. The sweet Americana of Twin Peaks is a mask, and it's rotting underneath. You see all the warm symbols on the surface, the steaming cup of coffee, the perfect slice of cherry pie, the smiling waitress. It looks wholesome, safe, almost too good to question. But here's the twist. Those comforts are a cover. The cheerful diner setting hides cycles of abuse, corruption, and trauma. Laura Palmer's secret diary tears through the sugar coating, revealing despair and violence under the neat small-town identity. The town clings to symbols of purity, yet its nights tell another story. That cherry pie isn't just dessert, it's denial baked into everyday life, a sweet topping over a sickness that no one dares name. And when the surface rots, the whole structure beneath it bends. So if the physical world crumbles, what happens to the invisible design guiding souls?
You have to hide the diary, Harold. You made me write it all down.
Number 7, the geometry of the soul. In Twin Peaks, even shapes have power, and they direct souls. This isn't about decoration. Circles, triangles, and spirals frame the unseen rules of the story, almost like traffic signs guiding who passes safely and who doesn't. Look at the Red Room. Its chevron floor isn't just stylish, it stretches in impossible ways, trapping people in endless patterns. Owl Cave marks another clue. Carved symbols that shift from triangles to spiral-like figures, suggesting energy in motion, souls turning or collapsing inwards. Hawk's map weaves in bridges and moon curves, tying cycles of time and direction into the geometry of the land. You start to see design instead of randomness. And these aren't artistic flourishes, they're instructions, an alchemical code. They tell you who survives initiation and who gets swallowed by the lodge. But notice how one direction keeps appearing, the sinister power of the left. Number 8, the sinister left side.
You're still with me. That's good.
Why does Twin Peaks make the left side feel corrupt, cursed, and sinister? It isn't accidental. Watch closely. Characters who step into lodge spaces often veer left, and that small detail carries weight. Even certain hand gestures tied to possession land on the left side, as if evil enters from that direction. The pattern becomes too consistent to dismiss. Leftward paths lead to portals, violence, or confusion. Right turns, by contrast, rarely trigger the same unease. That echoes broader myths where the left side is branded the sinister, not just in language but in centuries of ritual, where left often meant shadow or corruption. This means Twin Peaks is encoding direction into its mythology. Orientation itself tells you which way the soul is heading, and if left is cursed, then facing it means standing before the shadow self.
How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie?
Number 9, confronting the shadow self. Maybe the scariest monster in Twin Peaks isn't Bob, it's you. The show borrows directly from Jung's idea of the shadow, the fragmented hidden side of the self we pretend doesn't exist, and it makes that shadow literal. Agent Cooper, seemingly heroic, calm and pure, comes face to face with a doppelganger, a twisted copy that mirrors every quality he denies in himself. Laura Palmer too stares at her own distorted reflection, a version that embodies her fear and self-destruction. Then comes the return, where the concept blows wide open. Evil Cooper, the doppelganger unleashed, becomes not just one character's problem, but the engine of the story. It's the shadow running on its own. The payoff is clear. Twin Peaks argues the real battle isn't external at all, it's about confronting your internal double. But these personal wars scale upward, aligning with cosmic rhythms like Jupiter and Saturn. Number 10, the cosmic dance of Jupiter and Saturn.
They stand for Jupiter and Saturn,
Some of the others represent planets as well, but this particular part of the puzzle pertains to a precise planetary position. Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction.
An astrological alignment may actually rule who lives and dies in Twin Peaks. That sounds unreal. But the show plants it right in front of you with murmurs of Jupiter and Saturn weaving into talk of lodge portals. Major Briggs and others don't treat these moments as coincidence. They treat them as calendars for when access points appear. So why tie Laura Palmer's fate to a 20-year planetary cycle? Because in myth, Saturn presses down as the archetype of death, testing every soul that crosses its path. Jupiter, on the other hand, swells with growth and expansion, pushing toward wisdom. Put them together, and you get a clash of endings and beginnings, contraction and release, two giant forces in rhythm. That rhythm becomes the series' hidden clock, and if the stars can code destiny, then numbers and coordinates can too.
Well, historically, Harry, when Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct, there are enormous shifts in power and fortune. Jupiter being expansive in its influence, Saturn contracted. Conjunction suggests a state of intensification, concentration.
Number 11, the enigma of numbers and codes.
Diane, 11:30 a.m., February 24th.
Repeating numbers in Twin Peaks aren't throwaway. They're cosmic passwords. The show lingers on them so often it feels intentional, like a conversation in code that you're supposed to overhear but not fully understand. Think about the recurring 430. It isn't explained, but it hovers as a signal that crossing into another space is about to happen. Cooper's tape logs carry the same effect. He speaks in dates, times, and numbers, turning his entries into coded patterns. Then there are the coordinates leading to Jack Rabbit's palace, numbers scrawled and repeated like they hold the gravity of an incantation. So why do random digits decide people's fates? Because in Twin Peaks, numbers behave like language. Shift 1, and the meaning of reality changes. They act as cipher keys, unlocking doors you didn't realize were already in front of you. But even numbers push us toward the same destination, the mirror and what waits on the other side. Number 12, through the looking glass. Mirrors in Twin Peaks don't reflect, they betray. Look at Laura seeing a different face staring back at her, or Cooper's final glance where the mirror doesn't show him, but something darker moving inside. The glass doesn't capture the outer image, it exposes what lies just beneath it. That's where the unease comes from. Are these reflections alternate timelines breaking through, or are they glimpses of the soul splitting open? The Return doubled down on this idea. The glass box wasn't a prop, it acted like a trapdoor, a reflective surface waiting to unlock something violent and unstoppable. The payoff is simple but chilling. In Twin Peaks, mirrors aren't about seeing yourself, they're doors into the other world. Every glance risks opening a passage, and if mirrors are gateways, then the final door left is the one no one escapes, death itself. Number 13, death is not the end. In Twin Peaks, death doesn't close the story, it multiplies it. The whole show begins with the murder of Laura Palmer, and instead of ending her presence there, it becomes the fuel for everything that follows. Her absence shapes every corner of the town, but her presence never really leaves. That's the puzzle. Why do the dead keep speaking? Messages leak through birds that repeat words they shouldn't know, pages of a diary that reach past the grave, and visions that interrupt waking life. Even moments of grace, like Renette's angelic vision, break into the horror. Leland's final drift into water plays less like closure and more like another crossing. The lesson hits hard. In this myth, death is just a threshold, a passage into fresh battles between cosmic forces. Twin Peaks reveals its world as endless thresholds, never final endings. Twin Peaks isn't a simple crime story, it's a living myth about a cosmic war encoded into the bones of a small town. The diner, the woods, the lodge, they're not just sets, they're battlefields hidden in plain sight. Once you notice the codes of direction, number, and shadow, the whole series shifts from soap opera to sacred text, so rewatch it like you're decoding scripture. Look for the signs, piece them together, and drop a comment with the meanings you caught. Hit that subscribe button for more breakdowns, because once you see Twin Peaks this way, you're part of its war too.